Folks, I gotta tell you, I think the pundits have it wrong on the story. I do. Might surprise you on this as well. Now, by the way, this is a huge story with, of course, economic but also political consequences. So I want to make sure we get this right and you understand exactly what is going on here. By the way, welcome to the program. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. You can reach me, Sam, at what'srightshow.com. And, of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at What's Right Sam. Now, speaking of Twitter, the man in the news today, Jack Dorsey, is one of the original founders of Twitter. He was booted from the company. It was taken over by, a bunch of business types who eventually turned it into the monster that it was at the time that it was purchased by none other than Elon Musk in the midst of the 2024 election cycle. Now, Dorsey, by the way, when the company was acquired by Musk, had already gone on to a new venture. And he founded a company called Stripe or Square, right? Square is a payment systems company. And Square also, the Cash App was an associated product. It all became a company eventually called Block. And it's part of, it's fintech, right? Financial tech. And it's a hot, business commodity. It's a hot business item. And the story, in case you missed it, it's okay, but it's huge. They laid off nearly half of their workforce, and people are saying it's AI. Yesterday, Dorsey puts out a long tweet. He actually published it on Twitter, the same thing he wrote to employees of the firm. And he basically said that they were laying off about 4,000 people. So they're reducing their headcount that was about 10,000 down to 6. Now, people, and Dorsey himself alludes to intelligence tools that allowed them to slim things down. Now, one thing you got to understand, and I'll speak to this as a founder, a one-time founder of a tech company, which I've done that in a past life, and will probably do it again at some point in the near future. I can tell you that these companies always start lean and mean, and then when you get your funding, things have a way of bloating. Now, imagine, right? If you take the company Square, and you know what that is, right? You basically, Dorsey had a friend. He had a glass blower friend who was frustrated. He couldn't sell his stuff that he made, in his studio. He didn't have a big office. He couldn't sell his stuff to people who wanted to pay by credit card. The only way he could take credit cards if he signed up with a big program at the bank. It was very expensive. And so Dorsey basically took this buddy of him in and go, look, let's start a company where we can, plug in a small device into the phone jack of an iPhone, for example, and you can take credit cards and you swipe them, scan them right then and there, or even take them over the phone. And they democratized something that the banks held as a bit of a monopoly. And it was a revolutionary thing when it happened. And of course, a lot of people are doing it now all over, but they're the market leaders. But so they started this thing in a small space, in a small area, a handful of guys working, and it bloated into an enormous business. Now, I've heard from multiple sources, this is an interesting statistic, and tell me what you think of this, that 90% of the layoffs were from people that were working from home. And see, I've told you this many times. I've repeated myself that the ghosts of COVID in our economy are still out there haunting us. Work from home, by and large, and I say this as a business owner, I say this as an entrepreneur, I say this as a common sense human being. Work from home is complete and utter bullshit. Okay? It can work in select, specific cases. But when it comes time to working, the one thing that the machines, and they'll have it someday, but the machines don't have, is real-time collaboration, consultation, ideas popping, multiple people in the same room, going to each other, training each other, developing each other. You can't do that over Zoom. So I'm not, again, and I believe this is the case, right? Most of these people, I know for a fact this company had an enormous amount of people that worked remotely. A lot of these tech giants do, by the way. Meta does. I mean, like Facebook, Instagram, right? The company Meta, I think got a lot of people that work from home. They've got very high level people that are working from home. It's not a good, and they try to get people back in, and a lot of workers in America got spoiled by COVID. A lot of people quit their jobs. Companies were desperate to hire people and would begrudgingly, even in a post-COVID environment, make offers of employment to people and say, "Well, can I work from home? Because I'm not going to take the job if it's not work from home." And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who grouse about this, complain about this over and over again to me. So, Sam, the people don't want to work in the office. My response is always, then move on to the next person. I mean, there's other good people out there, and there will continue to be phenomenal people to hire in the years to come. I believe that. But this thing, I mean, everybody is piling on this as it's AI. AI just eliminated 4,000 jobs, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, to some extent, yes. But the advice that I have for each and every one of you is, number one, if you work from home in front of a screen, yeah, you know what? AI is going to eliminate you, and good for you. It's going to happen because you made yourself obsolete. You took yourself out of the office. Here on the What's Right show, we don't mince words. I'm just going to tell you how it is, and straight up, you wrote yourself out of the script. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, somebody was joking about this. I was talking to somebody last night, and they go, it's just funny. There's a lot of people in this company that were probably making $250,000 a year to join a weekly Zoom call. Okay. A virtual meeting of people in the office. And when it came time for them to say something, they would say, nothing for me. Nothing for me. I don't, no notes. They get paid, some huge sum of money, arguably, plus, benefits, plus maybe some stock options. Big money. To say nothing in a meeting and contribute work that ultimately can and certainly will in the near future be done by computer. Now, one of the parts of the story is, and this is just, I keep talking about overstaffing. You get these companies. Do you know when they started this, very quickly, Jack Dorsey got this company to a $3 billion valuation. When they went to one of their early funding rounds, they got a $3 billion eval. Okay, so huge. And what happened is they began to hire people and acquire talent. And when you hire people aggressively and quickly, you might hire 3 people and only one of them is good. If you are a small business owner and you're listening to me, tell me, isn't this your experience too? That you hire 2 or 3 people, you keep one. One of them works out. And if you're lucky. And so they actually grew and operated at a 2 to 3x headcount of what they needed for almost 5 years. And it led to a bureaucracy stagnation, right? And their investor plans faltered. I mean, it was time to revitalize. Now, the doomsdayers, and again, it may surprise you, I still think that AI is going to come for a lot of jobs, and I think we need to get smart. and I'll talk to you here in a minute about some updates on this, things that we can do to prevent our jobs from getting taken. Well, I already mentioned one of them. Get your ass back into the office, okay? If you're work from home, put your face in front of your boss. Be present. Help develop people. Be a team player. If you're hiding behind a camera, on a screen, forget it. I mean, game over. But somebody out there, a doomsdayer, that follows all this AI stuff, went through all of the cuts. And they went through, the 78,000 that UPS cut, the 30,000 that Amazon cut, mentioned that to you recently, Intel, Citigroup, Accenture, going through all of this, right? All these, 1,000 jobs here, 3,000, 30,000, and it adds up. And yet I want to make an important point that in spite of all of these cuts, jobs overall are up. And that is that there is a rebalancing in the economy. And by the way, somebody had one of these lists and this is where some of this stuff is just political and overblown. And these people are probably, crazy libs and want to talk down the Trump economy because they included the Doge cuts to the federal government. If you think that Doge was about AI, if you think that, they just eliminated people that were, as completely useless. The horror stories of people going to shiny offices in Washington, D.C. and sitting in near empty, palatial office space and going, no, I don't know what I do. I don't, well, I did a little something. I had a call this week. So how much do you make? Well, I make 125 a year, but as this is important, my job is important. We have to get back to having a real economy. We need to make things. Again, this is one of my most impassioned pleas for those of you still doubting Trump's tariff strategy. We have to make things. We have to build things. We can't just be this funny math, economy that deals in, these rapid valuations. Because look, I mean, this cut got rewarded. They cut 40% of the workforce, and they get that. Block does, right? Back to the original story. They cut their workforce, and presto, stock price goes up 25%. And it makes me think it's, some of this value in our economy, and I'll put it in quotes, is really not real. Okay. And we moved away from building things and making things to trying to be this pop up a tech company and make a few bucks and, billions and billions and ultimately in the aggregate trillions of dollars. With not a lot of there in many cases, right? You hear about the winners. You certainly don't hear about the losers. Now, I'll tell you, here is the interview that actually is scaring people. Now, I'm going to play. This is the CEO of Anthropic. Now, Anthropic makes a program called Claude. I use Claude. I'll tell you this. I've recently started using Claude, and I'll tell you right now. So what is it? It's an agent. It's not ChatGPT. Okay. ChatGPT, you give a question to ChatGPT, or you upload a task, like read this document and summarize the document, and ChatGPT can do that. But Claude is an honest to goodness agent that you can give permission to work, for example, on your computer. And the other day I used Claude. I'll just share this with you. I had a mess of documents on my desktop. I operate on a Mac. Okay. I'm a lifelong Apple user. I for work, I've had to use a PC here and there, but I absolutely am allergic to PCs. I'm a Mac guy. And Claude was able to go through and organize my files. And this is what it would have taken me 10 hours to do what Claude could do in honestly about 10 minutes with some prompts going back and forth. It's unbelievable. Claude makes dinner reservations for it. Goes on. I say, hey, listen, tell me. I was headed here to Prague, where I'm doing the show from this week and next, and I'm and I said, find me some new restaurants. Find me restaurants I haven't been to. And Claude, you're probably wondering, well, how would Claude know where you've been and haven't been? And I said, well, go to my social media and go through it. Places that I've gone, and then then send me to a new place. And it brought up a list, sure enough. And then I said, well, make me a reservation. These are the nights that I'm free, and just go ahead and make me reservations. Now, it wasn't smooth. I have to say this. Everybody out there that goes, oh, it's working flawlessly. It doesn't yet, but it will. And, you can hire a $100,000 a year assistant. And, if you're an attorney, a doctor, or whatever, or 80,000, whatever he or she would be, you can hire that person, or pretty soon it's going to be, about 90% of what that position would do. You can have your agent do. And the version I have of Claude is $100 a month. And you can add other components to it right now. Big in the news program is OpenClaw, that uses Claude, but actually does even more of the agent and stuff of it. And I don't want to get stuck in the weeds on the tech, but I'm just telling you, it's developing, it's happening. And so the CEO of Anthropic, that makes the Claude program, sat down and has done a series of interviews. And his name is Dario Amodei. And he says that the public is in denial about AI, that there's a coming AI tsunami. And this was an interview just yesterday. And here you go.
It is surprising to me that we are, in my view, so close to these models reaching the level of human intelligence. And yet there doesn't seem to be a wider recognition in society of what's about to happen. It's as if this tsunami is coming at us, and it's so close, we can see it on the horizon, and yet people are coming up with these explanations for, oh, it's not actually a tsunami, it's that's just a trick of the light, like it's some, and I think along with that, there hasn't been a public awareness of the risks, and therefore governments haven't acted to address the risk. There's even an ideology that we should just try to accelerate as fast as possible, which, I understand the benefits of the technology. I wrote Machines of Loving Grace, but I think there hasn't been an appropriate realization of the risks of the technology, and there certainly hasn't been action. So I would say that the technical work on controlling the AI systems has gone maybe a little better than I expected, and kind of the societal awareness has gone maybe a little worse than I expected. So I'm about where I was a few years ago.
Okay. So the saying, it's by the way, I've heard him say someplace where there's going to be 20% unemployment because of what's coming. It depends on how we pivot. Here's an example of a company pivoting, and I just saw this. Target literally paid $110 million to get out of a lease on an office building in Minneapolis. They're based there. They're actually Target. Call it a woke company. I wonder why. They're based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Why? You don't need bodies. To run my law firm as it continues to grow, Sam & Ash Injury Law, by the way, I will simply need less office space. It's a fact. But guess what? Rolex, the luxury watch manufacturer, some consider best watches in the world, they launched a trade school just now in the great state of Texas. Texas. Everybody has rushed into these jobs like being in finance and being in tech and being, and whatever. Turns out there are only 2,000 watchmakers, in the U.S. 2,000. The school had 27 spots, and they got 560 applicants. That's a 5% acceptance rate. Well, some people are beginning to realize it. It's going to be a long while before the robots can work on a watch mechanism. Think about this with your kids and grandkids is all I'm saying. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Back in a moment.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Well, folks, here's a question that has to be answered. Speaking about AI and the tsunami that is computer simulated intelligence. Sam Mirejovsky here, by the way, on the What's Right Media Network. The question is pretty simple, right? If in a consumer economy, all the jobs go away, or a lot of jobs go away, and all these companies are just becoming so efficient at doing the same thing that they're doing, who exactly is buying those products? Right? I mean, that's like, if suddenly the economy has that amount of shrinkage, what happens? I mean, it's a question that has to be answered, and that nobody is answering that. Quick word, folks, about Sam and Ash Injury Law here before we get any further. Just a quick note. You get into an accident, you get injured, something happens. Your first instinct as a competent, palms up person is to deal with the insurance company, to call them up, to tell them what happened, to be honest and truthful, okay? Send them everything they ask for, and then they're going to do the right thing and everything's going to work out. And that instinct, while noble and while admirable, is exactly the wrong thing to do. You've got to, folks, listen to me. I've done this. I've been in this industry since 1999. Started as a clerk at a firm in 1999 in my second year of college. That's how long I've seen it. And I have horror stories. But recently, yesterday, the week before, I get phone calls, prospective new clients calling up Sam. Hey, I think I've got this case. Maybe they heard about Sam and Ash Injury Law here on this program, saw one of our advertisements, a friend referred them. We get a lot of referrals from former clients. That is the greatest compliment any business can get. We appreciate those. They call up, they say, look, I tried to do it myself. I tried, and now they're making me this offer, and it's a joke. I still owe thousands on my car. I'm completely upside down. What do I do? You're doing it. You've called me. Let us take this over and give me a chance. Doesn't cost you anything out of your pocket. I only get paid at the end on what I recover, and you're going to end up ahead of it even after my fee. They go, okay, all right, I trust you. And it's the best. People have come back and told me it's the best decision they've ever made. So please, for the love of everything that is good, it's not a DIY project, okay? This is complicated stuff, and the insurance companies, unfortunately, are out there to screw you. And incidentally, in the age of AI and figuring things out, they're going to do that even more and more. Trust me. Sam and Ash Injury Law. All right? That's the firm to trust. 800-304-2000. 800-304-2000. samandashlaw.com. No recovery, no fee, because you deserve what's right. All right, folks, Sam Mirejovsky here. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. At What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. So one thing before we put the AI thing to rest, I always am interested in when smart people are making moves. And I mentioned to you, I think a couple weeks ago, where I was talking about what companies, what sectors of the economy would continue to do well. Entertainment, I said, would be one of them. Tillman Fertitta, who is currently Trump's ambassador to Italy. He is part of the Fertitta family that is active in Las Vegas. Many of you know Station Casinos. Tillman Fertitta is from the other branch of the family, but he is reportedly making a bid on Caesars Entertainment. Caesars is weighing takeover offers, and Tillman Fertitta apparently has thrown his hat in the ring. Caesars has 50 casinos in the U.S., large Nevada presence. Fertitta, of course, no stranger to Nevada. This would be a great move for the company. I'm just letting you know, I always like when I see, I have an idea and I have a thought, like, for example, with AI, people, there are going to be people who are going to be doing very well in the economy. And the people that are going to be out of work are going to get some form. Musk talks about this all the time, universal basic income. How that works exactly, I'm not certain of yet. But, it would be a little bit like COVID. There'll be some people that are just going to be sitting home doing nothing, getting paid. I worry that's the case. I don't like it. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying it's good. And by the way, the political implications of that frighten the hell out of me. But nonetheless, if you are looking to make investments in the next 2 years, look to the entertainment sector. If somebody's sitting home collecting a few $1,000s a month and has nothing to do, what are they going to do to fill their time? And if you can answer that question, that's someplace where your money may be safe. Look, I don't give investment advice here. There's a lot of asterisks. I'm just a guy that knows stuff. Okay. All right. You know who doesn't know anything? Hillary Rodham Clinton. She don't know nothing about nothing. Do you see this? they get her. They get her up there. They had to listen. They had to have this deposition, this House Oversight Committee deposition in Chappaqua, New York. This is right near the Clintons' home there. And they closed down the local performing arts center, which I don't think this is, this is not, this is not Disney Hall. Okay. It's not the Met, but it looked kind of nice. I saw the building, it closed it down, secured the perimeter. And it was, the reason it was up there, Hillary's lawyers have done everything to fight this. Remember, originally they said, they told the House Oversight Committee basically to piss off. They said, just go pound sand, guys. We're not doing this. Clinton, Hillary, they wrote a letter. We think this is a witch hunt, blah, 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 blah. Well, things are not looking good for them. So anyway, this is all Epstein related, right? Okay, so Hillary goes up there, Hillary takes a motorcade. I saw this too. There were multiple Secret Service SUVs taking Hillary. I know she's a former First Lady, former Secretary of State. I get it, but I'm just looking at the tax money to pay for the Clintons still. Oh my gosh, kills me. I'm not advocating for taking away their Secret Service protection. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying it was a comment. It was this giant motorcade, Hillary Clinton rolling into the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center, and all the members of Congress and the committee and the lawyers, they all had to make the trek to New York State up there. Okay. And for what? It lasted about 6-7 hours, and it stopped for about 30 minutes because apparently Lauren Boebert took a photo of Clinton where she looks spooked, okay? Hillary Clinton looked spooked, and she gave it to Benny Johnson, who put it on Twitter. It exploded, and the Clinton had look, Boebert's kind of an idiot, all right? And, Johnson, if somebody sent me a picture and it was from a good source, I'd post it too. I'm not mad at Benny, but I'm just saying, Boebert shouldn't have. It just gave Hillary Clinton an excuse to stop the proceeding. And I'm gonna can I put in my 10 cents here as a lawyer? Okay. When you are questioning a witness, and you know, in the movies, and on TV, questioning a witness is always very exciting because it's meant to be entertaining, right? So you've got the Perry Mason there, and he's just gotten, it's so quick. It's boom, 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 and bam, we got an admission, smoking gun, da-da, end scene. Now, in real life, depositions last hours and are terrifyingly boring. They're horribly boring. And you're sitting there and you've prepared meticulously, right? You've spent weeks preparing for it if it's an important witness, right? And now you've got, and you have to carefully get them to get themselves tripped up. The objective of it, if you've got somebody like Hillary Clinton, is honestly to catch her in a lie. The problem is, I'm telling you nothing you don't already know, but the problem is that Hillary Clinton is a professional, top-rate liar, and she's not a stupid woman. So Hillary Clinton, the way to do it is you wear the witness down. That's the strategy of these things. You wear them down slowly but surely, and you get them tripped up, and you don't want them to take too many breaks. You certainly don't want to give them an excuse for a break. And that's what I'm saying. Lauren Boebert's just a stupid move. All right, here's the topics of the deposition. And it's important because this is what they're getting at. There's the allegation of mismanagement of the federal government's investigation into Epstein. Everybody's focused right now. Every stupid liberal out there's focused about how Trump is obscuring and hiding the Epstein files. And so, look, nothing got investigated under Obama. You know, it died certainly. Well, no, Trump got somewhere with it. I mean, he at least arrested Epstein, right? In Trump's first term, they arrested Epstein. And then did anything happen under Biden? No, they were too busy chasing Trump. And now it's all Trump's fault. Make it make sense. All right, I'm just saying. But anyway, they're looking at that. The circumstances and subsequent investigations of Epstein's death. Did Epstein hang himself? And one of the things that I read, and I don't know what to believe anymore, so I'm just throwing it out there. Apparently, the FBI deleted the tapes, and it appears to have happened under Biden's watch. They just deleted the tapes entirely. The video that they have is not exactly the video from the time he was at. I don't have this. If that is the case, then I don't even know what to believe about this anymore. I don't know. But I'm just telling you, they're investigating the death. Then, of course, sex trafficking and the government's role in that in general. And then how Epstein and Maxwell leveraged their connections, their political connections, political friendships, to protect their illegal activities. And of course, all of this has, the oversight committee also wants to know if there are any violations by individual members who are still serving or were serving in the House of Representatives at the time. Okay, so there it is. Hillary said it was repetitive, that they asked the same questions over and over. She denied knowing about Epstein's crimes. She denied going to the island or his residence. She denied ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, she was the senator from New York, right? First lady. Then she becomes a senator of New York. This is great. I hope she lied under oath. That's all I'm going to say. See, here's my take on the Epstein. I've said this before. I got to respond to a friend. I had a friend reach out to me, somebody who's not very political, and it's like, they're all pedophiles. They're all pedophiles. And the Epstein are all pedophiles. I'm like, geez Louise. Somebody who had their picture taken. Like, I'll say this in defense of someone like Mark Carney, whom I don't like. The now Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Globalist. Don't like him. There's a picture of him and Ghislaine Maxwell. That, I'm sorry, is not dispositive proof that Carney's a pedophile, okay? Like, I'm just telling you. You may not like it, and it's fair. He may have terrible choices. He makes a judgment of friends. If he was still hanging out with Ghislaine and Epstein after the conviction in Palm Beach, that's, I think, a judgment problem, but it doesn't make him a pedophile. So Hillary Clinton and remember that Clintons love to lie, and they lie about stuff that can be verified. In fact, I think Clinton's whole impeachment trial came down to him just being a, congenital liar. If you'll recall, I have never had relations with that woman. It was a very strong denial of something that could have been very easily verified. And in fact, later was verified as stuff was found of his on her dress. But I digress. So this is, look, she, my takeaway is that the Epstein files are going to burn the Dems big time. My problem here with the House Republicans is the Clintons are only a big deal to those of us who are political and who grew up in the 90s. I worry a little bit, folks, about how much political play. I'm not saying there doesn't have to be accountability. I'm just wondering how much political play there has to be. So Bill Clinton's going to testify today. Right, he's up. He's on. He's driving in there as I record the show. But we'll see what he says, and we'll go through it on Monday. I'm just saying, But Hillary is the most despicable person. Top of the top in our country's politics. She gave a statement where she said she spent her life advocating for women and girls. This is a woman whose husband repeatedly, at best, sexually harassed the living you-know-what out of these women. If you believe Juanita Broderick raped a woman, and she ran cover for him, calling them bimbo eruptions. Oh, we got another bimbo eruption. Remember Jennifer Flowers? Literally, Hillary has no shame, and that's something we have to remember when dealing with the Democratic Party. They have no shame. Oh, by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell attended Chelsea's wedding, and she got asked about this. The wedding was in 2010. Epstein was convicted in 2008, indicted in 2006. Hillary was Secretary of State at the time. And her excuse was, well, she came as somebody's plus one. All right. Okay. All right. By the way, you want some good news? I got some good news. You want to end the show on good news this Friday? All right. I'll give it to you. The Tampa airport, that's right, Tampa, Florida. Tampa is on the Gulf of America, in case you were wondering. A Tampa airport has banned, thought this wasn't real at first, pajamas and Crocs. That's right. They've had enough. No more pajamas at the airport. Now, I fly, folks, you know this, I fly a lot. I live in Las Vegas. I have an office in California. I've got this home in the Czech Republic. So I fly a lot, okay? And I'm in the airport a lot, and I see pajamas all the time. People dress like slobs, and then I look at the pictures, and I don't want to be I don't want to be a nostalgic person. I want to say, oh, the past was better, because a lot of things in the past were better, were not better. Medical care, for example, has improved, generally speaking, over time. But I look back at photographs of people traveling in airplanes. Hell, I was looking at pictures the other day of people at Disneyland, in the 50s and 60s, men in suits. And if they didn't have a tie, at least they had a jacket on. And if they didn't have a jacket, they wore slacks. And now people, you've been to Disneyland. It's hard to even, know where it begins and where it ends. Just sort of, anatomy speaking, anatomically speaking on some of these people. It's absolutely horrendous. All right, folks, let's have a good weekend. Let's do good out there. And, on the AI stuff, it is coming. Learn how to use it. If you're a business owner, even if you work at your job, find ways to use AI. And check out the free version of Claude and OpenClaw. Play around with it. Go through some of the prompts. I'm telling you, you embrace the new world or it runs you over. And if you're retired right now, you're pretty lucky, because you're gonna miss all this insanity. All right. Well, okay. By the way, you listen on the radio. Speaking of new technology, the What's Right Show. What's Right Show. This is a podcast. It's a podcast first, because that is what people want. They want to listen to this on demand. They want to wake up first thing in the morning, get the show in as they're getting ready, listen to it in the car, listen to it whenever. That's what people want. And that's what we give them here on the What's Right Media Network. Sam Mirejovsky. I'll see you Friday. By the way, find the show wherever you get your podcast, okay? Find it. Sam Mirejovsky. I'll see you Monday.